Good evening. Good evening, everybody. We're so excited that you have tuned in to the Renewal Center's Tea Time Tuesday. This is our special Tea Time Tuesday for January, and we are excited that you are joining with us. Actually, we are closing out the month of January, and we want to go ahead and tell you to go ahead and invite your family, your friends. You want to go ahead and grab your tea and your Tea Time Journal. We're so excited. While you're joining in, go ahead and mash that like button and then share this broadcast with others so other people can know that the Renewal Center is live. Hello, Monique. It's good to see you tonight. Hey, we're excited. Hey. Hello. Yes, the Renewal Center wants to say hello to everybody. Hello, Pamela. It's good to see you too. And then also, we want to remind everyone that the Renewal Center's focus for Tea Time Tuesday is pausing, resetting, and building resilience. And tonight, we're in for a treat. We want to, on behalf of all of us, Patrick and Hope, we want to invite you to join in for part 2 of Reordering and Rooting. And it's how renewal becomes sustainable. So this is kind of like the last part. We had a last time that was really nice. Did we, Patrick? It was good. Yeah.
Sure did. And so yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So we're excited. I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch over to Hope, who's going to help us locate ourselves tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, all our tea timers. And it's just good to be back and to see all of you guys here. Make sure to like and share. As you know, part of our tea time is that we take time to pause. And so for those who are part of our tea time community, you already know. And those who are new, this is just a time we just sit, kind of reflect, kind of allow yourself to just get in touch with your breathing and just kind of just clear your mind for the, shake off the cares of the day, So we're going to go ahead and just take a moment to locate ourselves.
You know what? I think I'll do a nice warm image today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please. That would be nice.
Let's do something a little warm. Here you go.
Yes. Great.
Take us there.
Yes. All right. Isn't that refreshing? Got a chance to just take a moment to clear our minds. I know it takes a couple of seconds to get our minds together, just kind of relax our shoulders and just a real good. Thank you, Patrick, for sharing that warm image this evening because in a lot of areas it's not too warm. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it over to Patrick. But while we're doing that, what are you guys having? What's your choice of drinks this evening? Are you having tea? I don't know. Some may be having coffee. I don't know. I am having a cold hibiscus with cinnamon and ginger that I made homemade. So it's really, really good. So go ahead and make sure to share and like and share what you're having for this evening. All right, turn it over to you, Patrick.
Got pineapple and green tea.
Patrick and Hope, I'm sorry, I forgot the tea of the week.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, do we need to do the tea of the week? Okay. Okay. I was so relaxed. I didn't know what to do with myself. Our tea of the week is vanilla chai tea, and we're excited about that because, as Hope has said, we wanted to go somewhere nice and warm in our visualization, but we can also go have some really nice chai tea, which is really spicy. It's a good tea for nights and days like this, which is really cold outside. And we got a little bit of vanilla, cinnamon, and cardamom peppercorns, and we have cloves and honey, and you can add a dash of sweetener or cream to make it really nice for yourself. So that is the tea of the week, vanilla chai tea. Okay, now we can turn it over to Patrick.
Okay. Oh no, you can. Thank you so much. I was like, hey, got our tea of the week now. Yeah. Well, good to see everybody. Thank you so much, Carmela, and thank you, Hope, for being on. It's Hope, welcome back. It's good to have you on.
Yes.
And so glad yes, it's good to have you on. Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. I know that we started out our first Tuesday focusing on renewal before results. Today, we're going to focus on from reordering to rooting and how renewal becomes sustainable. So we started out talking about systems and infrastructures. If you got your journal, go ahead and put in the comments, I'm ready or ready, so we can get started. Go ahead and put in the comments ready so we can connect. Hopefully you've got your tea and you're prepared and you're ready. So it's good to see everyone. So good to have everyone on this evening as we pause, reset, and build resilience. So in part one, we talked about what must be reordered. That was the focus. What must be reordered. And so part two now is what must now be rooted, reinforced, and protected. So we started talking about what must be reordered, and that was part one. So as we close out January and we go into February, this part two is going to talk about, we're going to get some renewal practices regarding what must now be rooted, reinforced, and protected. So that's the focus. We want to move from awareness now, and we're going to move into practice. So hopefully you spent the month of January in reordering and started thinking about where things are, not necessarily just starting out with a goal mindset, but focusing on where am I in my mindset and what must be reordered. So now we're going to talk about in our renewal practices, what needs to be rooted, what needs to be reinforced, and what needs to be protected. And so we want to ensure that we translate renewal into like rhythms and make sure that it's not about willpower, but it's about having structure. And so we want to end January with clarity, not with fatigue at all. We want to end the month with clarity. So our tea time posture is what I'm going to talk about. It's being unhurried and grounded. And I think it's important as we start out our renewal practices for today is when we think about moving from reorder to being rooted and reinforced and protected, it's renewal can collapse when it depends on motivation instead of design. When it depends solely on just motivation instead of design. There are times where you have the motivation or may not have the motivation. We want to focus on design. And so I want to start out an open-ended question for us today, and I'll type it in the comments so you can reflect on this as well, is what shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose? What shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose? And I want you to think about that, meditate on that as we start, that I do not want to lose. Let me type this in there, okay? That's the first thing. First question for this evening is what shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose. I'm going to start out by saying that I delegated, I developed some systems, and I put some infrastructure together in very important areas. So that shifted for me in January, and I don't want to lose that because what that did for me is there was some design there, some redesign that helped me reinforce and also protect energy, protect my headspace. So that's my answer to that. What shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose? So those of you tea timers out there, think about this as a renewal practice and consider what shifted for you in January that you do not want to lose. Hope, any thoughts on that? Carmela, any thoughts on that? Tea timers, please feel free to share that in the comments. And we're just starting off our renewal practice this evening with that question so that we can start with movement. We're going to focus on movement in terms of how we're rooted, reinforced, and protected. So I'll pause it for a moment. Any thoughts on that question? What shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose? Thoughts? Still thinking?
Well, I'll go ahead and go. Thinking back on what we talked about a couple of weeks ago at Tea Time Tuesday, as I came into the new year, I know I mentioned that I was doing some restructuring, some recalibrating, but what sticks out the most for me is keeping what fits in this season. And I don't want to lose that. And that means really staying true to the decision that I made as far as any projects or how I restructured my life or how I'm restructuring things or where things are lining up. And so for me, that's what I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose what I've recalibrated or how I've refocused things. I think for me is to keep it balanced, make sure that balance is still there, and to remain in what fits in this particular season for myself.
Thank you for sharing. So keeping what fits in this season. And so our next steps would be, after we answer these questions, would be, okay, what must now be rooted, reinforced, and protected with that answer? Hope, what are your thoughts on this? What shifted for you in January that you do not want to lose?
Well, for me, just not taking on so much at one time, and ensuring that I keep those particular boundaries of space of what I can actually take on, and also the things that I've taken on, just kind of reevaluating kind of like my motives, and I don't want to lose the passion or the motives or the intent of what I'm currently, have my hands to. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Okay. So you want to not take on so much at one time. All right. Thank you for sharing. Tea timers, what are your thoughts on this? What shifted for you in January that you do not want to lose? So in order for us to answer these questions, we all shared, I want to encourage us that renewal must be designed to last. So we're going to move from awareness now to architecture in our renewal practices. So I'm aware of what needed to be reordered. I'm aware of what shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose. And I say, this is excellent that we are all focused on what we do not want to lose. So now let's think about, how do we move this from awareness to architecture? Start building the architecture behind this. And when you think about architecture, just real quick, what are some of the things that come to mind in architecture? Things like what? Think about architecture.
Yeah.
Structure. Blueprints.
Scaffolding.
Yeah.
Okay. Measurement. Big plans, schemas, schematics, right? End game, thinking about the end product. When you think about architecture, you're building something. So there's a design overall. All right. There's a design overall. So I want to encourage us to move from awareness to architecture. You've got a couple of answers coming in. That's right. Foundations, building, planning, and design. And again, tea timers, I want you to think about the question we asked earlier, which is, what shifted for you in January that you do not want to lose. Go ahead and put that in your journal, your Tea Time journal. Think about it. If you want to answer, please feel free to place that in the comments as well. We want to leave that up for a little bit. Just want to make sure that we all consider this as our opening statement for our renewal practices this evening. So, January normally starts out with clarity. We talked about reordering, but February will test your sustainability. So if January often brings clarity, then February is going to test your sustainability of that clarity. So everything that we reordered in January needs to be sustained in February. Otherwise, we lose momentum. And the reason why many times we lose momentum is because we just lack structure. We just lack structure. Oh, Darlene is sharing. Here, Darlene says, getting more sleep and rest. All right, getting more sleep and rest. You don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Darlene, there you go.
Good.
All right, excellent. Getting more sleep and more rest. All right, so that means that you want to have an architecture to that.
Yeah.
Darlene, so as you're starting out your January and you're reordering your areas of more sleep and rest, then that means in order for you not to lose momentum, you want to have some kind of structure. And so you want to make sure that renewal relies on things, on a structure when the emotion fades. All right. And there should be a rhythm that comes as a result of having a structure in place. So February is about sustainability. If January is about clarity, then February is about sustainability. And so you want to ensure that you don't need more discipline as much as you need fewer decisions. It's not just totally discipline as much as it is fewer decisions. In other words, there's some things I need to scale back in order for me to build a structure for discipline. So it's important, Tea Timers, when we think about February, it's about sustainability. And based upon the question we asked earlier, what shifted for me in January that I do not want to lose that? We all answered that question. So you want to consider that as top of mind as you prepare yourself for the next month. So, all right. So why do you think busyness many times gets in the way of design? How can busyness get in the way of design? That's another question we want to think about as it relates to building an infrastructure. Many times people, they experience renewal internally, but they remain chaotic externally. So we want to experience renewal internally, but they remain chaotic externally. So what are your thoughts on why busyness maybe continues after you've got clarity, you're moving into the next month for sustainability? Why do you think busyness persists? Hope, any thoughts on that?
You mean, okay, so your question is, why does busyness persist? Maybe.
Yeah, why do you think busyness persists after breakthrough? Y'all excuse me while Wi-Fi is in and out, but keep going. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sometimes like when I think about it, I guess it's the need to be doing a lot of different things. Just after you get the clarity of what you need to do or what what you've been looking or wanting to do, it may require maybe some scaling back and from other areas. So that's what I'm saying when I say not taking on too much. May scale back from other areas or time management a little bit better. But sometimes it's just the felt need to just have to be doing something. And sometimes when you scale back, it kind of gives a more just a more, like you said, sustainable. You said sustainable for February, right? So it gives some more sustainability when you're able to kind of know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And sometimes it's just as humans, we have a felt need to always be doing something, to always maybe sometimes in our mind to, I have to do this, I got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. But sometimes when you're doing things, certain things take a certain amount of time and space. So instead of doing 10 things at a one time, you may have to do 5 because you're able to put the time that's needed into each individual thing. But sometimes we feel like the more, the better. And sometimes it's not really the more, the better. You know, it's sometimes maybe working on one thing that reaps results that you're looking to see, and you have to scale back in some other things, in some other areas.
Thank you. Interesting. Carmela, you want to weigh in on that? Any thoughts?
I agree. One of the things that I thought about is the fact that when we're busy, we don't give ourselves time to watch the results of what we've already planned. We kind of forget the purpose of why are we even building it. And I guess we get into a mode sometimes of when we do have a gap there or a space that we planned, okay, there's an extra space. Nothing's going on in this space. So let me fill it. Let me fill it with something else. And instead of watching the results of what we've already planned, sitting back and reaping the benefits of watching the result, well, we're going to add some more stuff to the plate. We'll add a little bit more to the calendar for the day. We'll add a little bit more because we're not resting in the gaps or in between time to watch the results. It's like, well, let me just do a little bit more. And referring back to the busyness part, if we have the systems already in place, we have to work the systems. Because if we don't, if we got the systems and we're not working the systems and taking the time to see the results from the systems, then the system, we're not really making it sustainable in the first place. It's the
That's
gap.
Interesting. It's watching the results.
Yeah.
Why do you think we don't sit enough to even watch results? What do you think that comes from?
The need
I think
it's a need to do. It's a kind of like when I talk about time management. We get mixed up in what's urgent and what's not. I think we get mixed up in what's important and what's not. And sometimes we're like, well, I got to do this. I have to, but you don't necessarily have to. Do you really have to do that? Or do you feel a need to fill this space with something?
Yeah.
I think we all do that sometimes. We don't watch out, if it's the quietness, it's like it's too quiet. It's too quiet. Let me fill this space with something,
So thank you for that. This is good because if we're thinking about sustainability for our next month, if we reordered in January and got clarity and we're moving into February with sustainability, we can't just be busy for the sake of it. And we got to ask that question that we answered. We have to answer that question earlier about you don't want to lose that as you move into your next month. You don't want to lose those things, which means don't replace what you don't want to lose. Like if you made a decision, don't just replace it just to fill the gap, just because you can. No, because now you'll reset yourself back to where you were again. And we don't want to do that. And then you'll find yourself by March, well, I'm back at where I was at the end of last year because you reordered, but you didn't sustain it because of being busy. Monique says here, sometimes busyness is equated to success. The more we do, the more successful we feel. Spot on.
Yes.
So I want to suggest two thoughts here as a contrast. So busyness will ask, what needs my attention now? Renewal says, what deserves my protection?
That's good.
I'm gonna say that again, just for just a contrast.
Mm-hmm.
So busyness asks, what needs my attention now? But renewal says or asks, what deserves my protection? I want you to let's get the tension of this contrast here.
That's good.
What needs my attention now? What deserves my protection on the other side? Tea timers, if we're going to have sustainability in renewal practices for February, and we want to maintain what we have adjusted, we don't want to lose the work we've done in January. We need to move from what needs my attention now to what deserves my protection. So I want everybody to write that down as these two questions. You don't want to ask the busyness question. You want to ask the renewal question. Because if we ask what needs my attention now, we're already inherently, that's a loaded question. So this needs my attention, and that needs my attention, and this and needs my attention, versus what deserves my protection. Tea timers, go ahead and put that in the comments. Let's all answer that question in the chat. What deserves my protection? I also want to say this just so that we can meditate on this particular phrase that I wrote down. Busyness is what happens when purpose is present, but structure is absent.
Mm-hmm.
Busyness is what happens when purpose is present, but structure is absent. Let's chew on that. I'll say it one more time. Busyness is what happens when purpose is present, but structure is absent. So I have purpose, but I don't have any infrastructure. Like Carmela said earlier, I don't have a structure of watching the results. I'm gonna leave with that one too, because perhaps I don't stay around enough to even celebrate something that I've done well. I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. Don't smell anything. I'm just hurrying up. It's like sitting at the table, just gobbling up the food. You can't even taste it because you're such in a rush, and we're so busy that we don't stop and pause enough, first of all, to celebrate the result. Because we're busy. So, again, what deserves my protection? And let's think about make sure we have structure that is not absent. And you know what? This is for everything. This is for health. This is for your mindset. This is for your habits. This is for your finances. This is for your energy level. This is everything that we're able to do that. So I also wanted to ask this other question again, and this is some journaling. This is renewing. I just wrote down a lot of questions tonight, so excuse me if I'm asking a lot of questions, but I just had a whole bunch of reflections here, because if we're going to have sustainability out of clarity, we have to answer these kinds of questions. What keeps pulling you back into busyness? What does your current structure reward? This is a question I had to ask myself before tea time. What does my current structure reward? Depth or speed? Because my work is constantly about delivering results. Speed, get it done, move it forward. We got to respond quickly. You got to ping people. You got to respond. It's instant this and respond now. And as a result of that, is my current structure rewarding depth in my life, or is my current structure supporting speed? We got to think about that.
Okay.
Because sometimes even the jobs that just because everybody else is focusing on speed doesn't mean we got to focus on speed. Maybe we need to focus on that. All right, I'm talking a lot, so let me pause here. Go ahead, Mel. What are you saying?
Oh, that's good. I think because there's you were talking about the pinging and the this, and you got to do that. I think because there's no parameters. There's no parameters because we're getting ahead of ourselves and going to next steps already, but we haven't.
Yeah.
we haven't settled in step one yet. And yet, I think about, I know everybody could probably identify with this. You know how you got all these windows open on your computer, right? And but you first looking at one thing, and then all of a sudden something come in your mind. Oh, let me check that. And then, oh, let me Google that. Let me look at that. And before you know it, you've forgotten the first thing you were working
I
on.
do it all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so no parameters. It's like, let me just stay. Let me stay here. We're so busy going to step 2, step 3, step 4. We don't have a parameter that says finish step 1 first. Let me put some time constraints on it first, because if we don't, we're gonna be looking at everything else. Hope want to say something about that.
Oh no, I was just laughing at it because I do that a lot, and like I have multiple browsers like open along with the multiple tabs.
Yeah.
So I understand that. One thing like that you say, Patrick, you would say just sit with it. You would say that often, just sit with it, then that means just taking the time to just sit and reflect and take in what has happened before moving to the next thing. And even when I think about like in past tea times where you were talking about, I think we were talking about like, work-life balance, and you were even talking about meetings, like hard stop, and then, and then instead of, stopping at 12:45 and going to 1, I know sometimes we can't really control that depending, how our jobs are. They, some of them will just go right in. But if you can do that, and those are just times to pause. And I think that sometimes we don't take enough time to pause. After I complete one task, I'm headed, right to the next hour. I'm done, and and I know that you teach this kind of in time management, Carmela, where you're talking about the things that are most important, or the things that, you have to kind of get things in order and have them structured. And so I don't think that we take enough time to pause, because there's sometimes this thing, I gotta hurry up, I gotta get to the next thing, because we live in a society where it's like, come on, you gotta keep going, gotta keep moving, and even what Monique said, it's like it's tied to success. If you're not doing a bunch of things and moving fast, then someone see that I'm not successful, I'm not doing enough, so sometimes it's just taking that intention and time to just pause, like what we tell on tea time, pause and reset and build resilience. So just taking enough more time to pause, maybe after we accomplish things, before we just dive right into the next thing to do, or the next action item, or the next thing on the list.
That's good.
It's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to go back to this question about what does your current structure reward, depth or speed? So let's think about that as you move February for sustainability. Please excuse my Wi-Fi choppy. Hopefully you can still hear me, everybody. What is your current structure reward? Think about it. Is it speed? Is it depth? What would need to change for peace to become normal instead of occasional? Like, it's a normal part of our life to have depth, not just speed. So as we talked about reordering, we're rooting in this. Sustainability is about rooting, and not about what needs my attention now. It's about what deserves my protection in my life, and having a structure for peace. You, like, for instance, you might be in a culture where you do working lunches consistently, and you're at your laptop, you're eating lunch, you're scoffing it down. I'm going to go off camera because I'm eating. So I go off camera. So now I'm off camera, and, I'm eating, and, I'm hurrying up, but I'm off camera. And then I come back on, I'm just speed. And we're not developing where peace becomes normal, not just occasional. So I want us to think about it as we move from reordering today. As we think about our renewal practice, it's rooting now. We're focusing on rooting in the roots in February to sustain this renewal before results. So that I can sit back, and when I see the results, I now can sit here and I can pause. I can observe it. It's now sustainable because I have a structure that rewards depth. It rewards peace, not just speed.
That's good.
So
That's good.
let's think about a couple of more. So I also want you to think about what needs to be protected for the rest of your year in 2026. What needs to be protected for the entire year. We're not talking about just February. We're talking about the rest of 2026. What deserves my protection? What needs to be protected, or what needs to remain, right? It's not about being passive. It's about staying rooted, even when the novelty fades, because it's going to fade. And everybody else is going fast. And, culture tries to make sure. I think there's also called fear of missing out. It's called FOMO, FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, something going on. You got to be in the know. No, you don't need to be in the know. People have the FOMO, FOMO, the fear of missing out. I'm going to miss out what's happening. It's on the move. All right? No, we don't want to do that. Sometimes renewal starts with this intensity at the start of the year. No, it's gentle. It's a gentle coming into reinforcement. So I want you to fill in the blanks of these statements, everyone. I'm going to give you 3. We do renewal practices here, so let's work this out. All right, so here's the first statement. One practice I must protect this year. One practice, bless you, I must protect this year is.
Okay.
That's the first one. One practice I must protect this year is, and let's answer that question. Another one boundary I must honor without guilt is. Here, that's another one. Let's answer these questions. All right. You don't have to answer them now, but I want you to consider them as you move into February, because this is about all year. Then, one system I need to establish, let me spell this right, by February is. So we got 3 questions here, and the T-timers must be writing. They're still on. I see folks on here, but I know they're thinking out here. So again, all right, let's go through this. One practice I must protect this year is, whatever that is.
I got that. I wrote that.
Here's another one. One boundary I must honor without guilt. I had to add that in there. Is. Here's a boundary without any guilt. No, I'm not going. No, I'm not doing this. This is what I'm doing that deserves my protection. Just list one for now. You may have several. And then I wanted to consider, what is one system I need to establish in February, by February? What is the system that you need to put in place, perhaps that was not put in place in January, so that these systems can structure your year? And again, what does your current structure reward? Is it speed or is it depth? So let's think about these as practices to help us remain in this place, because structure, I want to say this very loud and clear, structure is compassion for your future self. Structure is compassion for your future self. I saw you nod your head there, Hope. What do you think of that? Structure is compassion for your future self. Because if you don't have structure, you're all over the place. So we got to have systems. We got to have boundaries. All right, I'm going to pause here. Any thoughts on any of these statements? T-timers, chime right in. Let us know what your thoughts are. Okay, Carmela? Mm-hmm.
Can you repeat the question? What does my current structure reward? This or that? What was the rest of it?
Speed. Depth or speed?
Thank you.
Yeah, put it. Depth or speed. And the reason why, again, to go back to that, is many times we have structures that just award speed. It doesn't reward depth. It doesn't reward I'm doing nothing. It doesn't reward peace. It rewards loud and noise and speed and busyness, but do we have structures that actually reward that? What are you doing? Oh, nothing.
Nothing. Mm-hmm. Oh. Nothing is something.
Yeah, right. That's good. Nothing is something. Let's all put that in the comments, everybody. Nothing is something. Yes. Yes, it is. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. So I want us to think about this. All right. One boundary I must honor without guilt. One practice I must protect this year is, all right, a system I need to establish in February. What this is going to do is going to help you build a structure that will reward structure. All right. Monique says we don't have structures that reward meaningful inactivity. Ooh, that's a good word. I think that's in a book called Change Matters. But anyway, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sure who wrote that book. You don't have structures that reward meaningful inactivity. Nothing is something. That's right, everybody. Put that in there. Nothing is something. I like that. Thank you for that, Carmela. So, again, if you have structure, structure is compassion for your future self. If you don't have structure, that means you're not preparing for your future self. You're just winging it. And we talked about that the first Tuesday. This is not the year to wing it. This is not the year or the moment to just wing things. Well, we're just winging it. No, you want to have some infrastructure, substructures. All right. You want to have these types of systems and structures that reward. And again, you want to think about your values. That's another conversation, right? Let's keep moving. Any thoughts on that before I go to the next practices, folks? Hope any thoughts, Carmela, anything you want to share before we go on? Okay. Okay, so ending January is more important than starting it strong. Ending January is more important than starting January strong. So let's flip this around a little bit. Many times we talked about we got to start strong. And so really ending it well is more important. So it's not about becoming someone. It's about returning to what's true in your life. You really want to know true in your life. And many times we want to focus on when we don't know what's true in our life. That's easier than exhaustion. That's consistent. That's easier than exhaustion. So I want us to think about this, consider move the next month. Right? Oh, thank you. Let me keep repeating my connection. Let me repeat this again. Is that as we think about renewal, what I was considering is renewal is not about just becoming someone new. It's about returning to what's true in your life. Can you hear me okay?
Now we can.
Yeah.
Are we good now?
Yeah, it's kind of ending out, but Yeah. That's okay.
Okay. All right. I apologize. It's Wi-Fi. Okay. All right. So it's about returning to what is true. Okay. Not about just doing something new. All right. Let me give you a few more. We're almost out at time at this point. I want to give you a few more thoughts to consider from a renewal perspective as it relates to being sustainable. Here are a few questions I want you to write down as journal prompts to help you sustain in the month of February. And this is about busyness versus fruitfulness. What keeps you busy but rarely fulfilled? What keeps you busy but rarely fulfilled? Again, what keeps you busy but rarely fulfilled? You know, here at the Renewal Center, one of our key principles is renewing the mind. And, God restores our souls. We know that spiritually. But you know what? We got to redesign our schedules. So it's like the Lord saying, I'm restoring your soul. I want to refresh you, but you got to redesign your schedule for me to refresh you. And if you don't redesign that, then the restoration may not take place if we don't participate with a redesigning of our structure or our scheduling. So it's important that we think about this is, what keeps you busy but rarely fulfilled? That's an important question. And if our renewal requires a lot of effort, just constantly, I'm just trying to get some rest. I'm just constantly that means it's not embedded in our life. If you're constantly saying, I just gotta, all this effort for renewal, if I'm constantly doing that, that means I have not embedded that as part of my life. I mean, it's as simple as, okay, everybody here has a habit called brushing your teeth. That's embedded in your life. Well, at least it should be. If it's embedded in your life,
we hope so.
You're okay.
Yes.
That's the example I want to use because you shouldn't be saying, "Did I brush my teeth?" I mean, wait a minute, what's going on here? That should be that should be embedded in your life. You shouldn't be, you leave the house and you thinking, did I, it should be embedded. Well, if renewal is a constant effort in your life, that means it's not embedded. It's not embedded. So that means I don't have a substructure. I don't have an architecture for it. So it's important that if it's draining you, that's because it's usually unprotected.
Wow.
So what keeps you busy, really fulfilled? Carmela, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was an aha moment right there, what you just said. If it's say that again. Say that one more time. If it
drains you, then it's usually unprotected.
Unprotected.
It's unprotected. So it's draining. Why am I? Gosh, it seems like I'm irritated and, it seems like this and it's a constant effort. Well, it's usually unprotected. So we want to make sure that renewal is supported. And you know what? You want to make sure your relationships are like that too. The people that are around you that will support that renewal. They'll support that, whereas you're not chasing after renewal. You're not chasing after sustaining it. So it's important that we got to redesign our schedules in February, everyone. We really need to think about what keeps you busy but rarely fulfilled. That is so important that we're able to consider that. All right, so that was another question I wanted to ask. I got a few more for us. Here's another question. How do you know when you are active but not aligned? How do you know when you are active but not aligned? That's a very important question because many times we're busy but we're not effective. We're active but we're not aligned. How do you know when you are active but not aligned? Again, friends, we're talking about renewal in terms of our results and being sustainable. Okay? You know, here's a few more. These are just to get you considering here, and I don't want to turn it into, a question session, but I think we need to think about this. And again, that's what we do. It's renewal practices. And so what area of our lives lack clear rhythms? We don't have rhythms. We don't have a rhythm in it. Those are important to have rhythms in our life as well, a cadence in what we do. I want you to think about each evening as an intentional practice. I want you to think about the rule of 10. And the rule of 10 is that I'm going to have 10 things that I'm getting done before I even start interacting with a lot of people in the morning. Here are a few 10 things that I'm focused on with intentionality before I even start getting on social media, posting something or reading something. Try to adopt the rule of 10 in your life. And you do that before you get up the next day. You already start thinking about, how's my morning? It may mean that you say, I'm not interacting with a lot of people for a good hour. I'm just going to spend one solid hour in solitude so that I can focus on refreshing myself, rebuilding myself, renewing myself, getting my rule of 10 done. Wow. So what areas of our life perhaps lacks rhythm? It's not a clear rhythm. And imagine if you schedule reward. Does urgency or intentionality?
That's important.
Imagine if you had that rhythm going on in your life. How would that bless you 6 months from now if you had that rhythm in your life instead of rushing? Ooh. All right. I'm asking a lot of questions. Why? Because we got to renew ourselves. We got to think about how we're sustaining. So if we're going to end January well, we got a few more days. Redesigning is important. Carmela, you said it earlier about just taking the time to watch your results. Think about how, was there a structure that you did that got you to that result? And you could replicate that consistently for your year coming forward. What will I stop doing? Not because it's wrong, but because it's not aligned. This is misaligned, so I got to stop doing it because it's misaligned. So what will I stop doing? Not because it's wrong, right? It may be a good thing, but it's not aligned. So if it's misaligned, that means I got to stop. As a personal practice, as a personal renewal practice, and once I make a decision here that I'm going to stop doing this, not because it's wrong, but because it's misaligned, it's not causing me to walk in a greater sense of depth. It's causing me to constantly be in speed, not have an infrastructure, not have a design, not have an intentionality. I'm constantly responding to urgency. And if renewal takes a lot of effort, that means it is not embedded in our life. We've got to be deliberate and intentional and embed it. Put it as part of your system. Put it as part of your infrastructure. All right, I've said a lot. Got 3 minutes. Any other thoughts, Carmela? Any other thoughts, Hope, on just our renewal practices for today? And I also want to ask everyone out there, T-Timers, what are your takeaways for today? What was something that you're going to consider or something that you're going to apply or something that's new? So any thoughts on our renewal practices for today?
Well, going back to what we were saying, the whole premise is not to wing it this year. And part of that is addressing some of the things that we talked about, especially those 3 questions that stuck out to me. What am I going to protect? What boundary am I going to honor? What system do I need to establish? Goes back to not winging it. because if you're winging it, you're not going to really look for results. You're going to be all over the place, which is what you were talking about, the busyness aspect. So I think this is really good to I mean, we're already in the end of the first month of the year. And what are we going to do? How are we going to really protect what we said we were going to start? And so I think this is very good. Um, the writing prompts, but those three questions are going to really put us in the place of, okay, this is what I need to be doing.
So yeah.
Good. Thank you, Carmela. Hope, any thoughts? What are your takeaways? Anything that's top of mind for you?
There's a lot that shared, a lot of questions that provoke thought, and so I'm looking forward to going back and kind of sitting with it and answering the questions. What stood out to me was just first the the winging it part, which to me can become exhausting when and then you said if it's exhausting you, tiring you, it's like, then it's maybe that's not, it's doing more harm than good, so that part there, and just the part about the 10 things, I probably already do, because I'm not a morning person, so I don't like to talk too much, because I'm thinking and reflecting. That's just how I am. So I'm always thinking, but it just kind of confirmed to, I was thinking to myself to keeping certain routines in the morning before I even engage with certain people. So that just kind of reconfirmed it, what I was already like, okay, this is what I need to keep this routine. If it was 10 minutes workout, whatever it may be, before I even start to engage with a lot of people. I have few people that I engage with at certain times that, but like the whole big thing, it's like kind of like take a moment to slow down, do what I need to do so that I can be proactive during my day. Yeah. And that's very important. So it's a lot of nuggets that you shared. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you. What I'm thinking about is what habit or rhythm that I'm establishing now that will bless me 6 months from now. So what systems, what rhythms, and what habits am I implementing right now that will bless me, build me, strengthen me 6 months from now? I can't wait to see it because I want to be very intentional about that and deliberate about it, and implementing these habits and these rhythms now that would bless me 6 months from now. T-timers, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts here on that? Troya B says, what keeps pulling me back into being busy? Thank you for that. Anybody else? What are your thoughts on this? Carmela, you want to take this next one?
Yes. Monique is saying, what am I going to protect that I have established this month? I will prioritize balance in my work life and protect my quiet time. That's good.
All right.
So important.
Anybody else? Yes, it is. Nothing is something. That's another good one. Thank you for that. All right. One last thing before we finish, we're going to get some announcements out to you, everybody. Thank you again for joining us for Tea Time Tuesday. I also want to share that renewal that is not protected becomes peace that is, renewal that is protected becomes peace that is sustained. Renewal that is protected, that is embedded in your life, becomes peace that is sustained. And so we want to put these infrastructures in our lives so that we can be sustainable. That's what this is about, folks. We don't want anyone to crash and burn. We want to make sure that we sit around and enjoy the results, the fruits of our labor, but also implement structures and systems that are built around depth, not solely speed. All right. So thanks again, everyone, for that. Carmela, I want to bring up a few announcements, Hope, as well. So, Carmela, if you can just cover this one for us, please.
Yes, ladies, we're going to be having our Women at the Well Bible Study Series on February 7th. We're kicking off the new year in February, and we have a new Zoom login instruction. So we invite everyone to come, and you don't have to register. You could just log on with this meeting ID and the password. Come and join us as we go into chapter 6. I believe it is chapter 6, and we're looking forward to you joining us as we read the book from Cynthia Hale, The Woman Whose God is Enough. And so we're really excited about it, and we invite every lady to attend.
All right. Thank you for that. I hope you want to give us some focus on our GPS coming up. Thank you.
Of course, yes. We want to invite you all to who want to join us for the GPS pain, the grief, pain, and stress support group, which is going to be kicking off in March. So we want you to go on over to our website, the renewalcenters.com, and go there and fill out the information. You can also go there and see the scheduled times for this. This is going to be a great way of support, a great way of having healing in community during our grief journey. And so if you know someone or if you would like to be a part of it, please go to our website. There you'll find the information on the scheduled dates and times that we'll be having it. This is a confidential group where we share, where we feel safe, where we're in a community to be able to heal. And so we are ready to kick this off. It's going to be, our first one's going to be in March, our grief, pain, and stress support group, our GPS. And if you have any questions or concerns, please contact us as well. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. So if you know anyone, let them know. Get the word out about our GPS, grief, pain, and stress support group. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Very important Bible study and our GPS, grief, pain, and stress group coming up. Please reach out to us. We are here to serve you. These are our sustainable programs. This is all about helping grow you. A few more things I want to share tomorrow. We do have our Reforming Culture. We're currently in the Christology of Spiritual Formation, and that's Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the Zoom ID and the password. So we look forward to you being with us tomorrow. It's Wednesday, 7:30. I also want to say that in February, we have two very powerful guests that are going to be with us in February. The first two Wednesdays will be Bishop Joey Johnson from Akron, Ohio, that will be with us from Bethel Fellowship of Visionary Churches for the first two Wednesdays. And my father, Dr. Paul C. Brown from Springs of Living Water Ministries in Georgia, will be with us the last two Wednesdays of February. He's going to be teaching on Christ the Center as well. So again, I just want to invite you to please come and be a part of our Christology of Spiritual Formation for the month of February. And again, each and every Sunday, please join us for the New You Digital Discipleship as well at 10 a.m. And also would like to share with you, please follow us on all of our social media sites as well. We want to encourage you to come to our morning prayers. Our next one will be February 13th, March 13th, April 10th, May 8th, and June 12th. Every second Friday at 6:30 a.m. We were in Jeremiah 33:3 for the month of January. Looking forward to you being with us again, February 13th. And lastly, want to encourage you, if Tea Time has been a strength to you, the Renewal Center, we want you to consider donating to the Renewal Center. Download our mobile app from your app store. You can always be in touch with us of all of our programs, what we're doing on Wednesdays, our teaching from Wednesday, and our teaching from Sundays. Looking forward to you being a part of that. And here's the ways that you can give to the Renewal Center. Through our website, you can text Renewal Center to that number and get a secure giving link. Also through PayPal and Zelle, which is the Renewal Center 2020 at Gmail, and our Venmo at Renewal Center. You can also mail a check or money order to the P.O. Box there on your screen. So don't see a lot of comments coming in for takeaways. Please feel free to continue to put those in the comments as well, what your takeaways are. And lastly, save the date, April 17th and 18th for our 7th prophetic gathering here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes. Stay tuned and more to come remember that, save the date. So again, thanks everybody for being on today. Hope that you've enjoyed our tea time today. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday, each and every first Tuesday and fourth Tuesdays. The first Tuesdays at 12 p.m. and the fourth Tuesdays at 7 p.m. So save those dates, first and fourth. All right, first at 12 p.m. and fourth at 7 p.m. So thanks for your participation. Thank you for your donation. Thank you for giving. And again, participating in all of the services and ministries that the Renewal Center provides you. And again, thanks everyone. Make sure that you pause, reset, and build resilience, and enjoy the rest of your January. We look forward to sustainability in February. See you soon.
Yes. Good night.